So I figured I might as well take time to do another quick video since I'm actually, you know, looking presentable and cute and all that jazz. So I wanted to do a very quick video on what my outlook for labor is this time. When I was pregnant with my first, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't read tons. I really tried to keep things, maybe I was trying to protect myself a little bit, but I just didn't want to have any expectations about how things should be. I really went into it with the idea that my mom and my grandmother had both done it and did it without medication. And I came from good birthing stock, so I should be able to do it too. And I did, and it was great. And looking back, some of the things that I got stuck in, like I didn't want to move once I started pushing. I wanted to stay in one position, and maybe I could have sped up our pushing period if I had just gotten off my bed a little bit. Things would have been better, but at the same time, it was a great birth, a great delivery. I had no complications. So going into my second labor, when I was around the 30-week mark, I started really reading a lot more. So I read the Ina May books, which I had managed to avoid my first pregnancy, and I would never advise that for anybody else. I think it's really important to read a lot of those birth stories, both in Ina May's Guide to Childbirth and in Spiritual Midwifery, because I think Spiritual Midwifery gave me an insight to how the mechanics of birth really work, like no other book has, including my nursing school training. Anyway, so along with all that, I really wanted to have more of a Zen labor approach, really be less anxious about things, and I really was. I felt like I knew what labor was like and what I encountered, and I think I really kind of assumed that along with that things would go very similarly as my first labor. And if you've watched my other videos, you know that's not the case. So I had a lot less anxiety with that pregnancy, and I felt very at ease with how things would probably go down. And so really what I focused on in my quest for Zen labor was trying different positions for pushing, trying different positions during labor, and basically trying a bit of a different physical approach to how to labor better. So with my second labor, of course, because I had a placental abruption, I ended up being in the hospital, induced with Pitocin, basically stuck on bed rest. I was allowed to stand up at the side of the bed for a little bit, and I was allowed to go to the washroom, and that was about it. So all the things that I had hoped and wanted to try didn't really get to come to fruition with that, which was fine. But the resulting factor of that is with this pregnancy, my third, I'm finding I'm having a lot more anxiety about labor, not about the physical side of things. I know I can birth a baby. I know I can cope with labor, at least labors like I've had so far. And I'm not really worried about trying different physical things or different coping methods. I don't feel like I really have to explore those or that they'll benefit me much. But what I am finding is my anxiety seems to be focused around not knowing the circumstances about how the labor will go down. So will I go into labor after 37 weeks or 40 weeks or 42 weeks? Will I be birthing at home or in the hospital? Will there be complications? And so I'm finding that a lot harder to surrender, mostly because I feel like I'm less naive than I was going into my second labor. I really just assumed that everything would go as well as the first time. So I'm not really sure where I'm going with this. I just kind of I was wondering if other people who might be watching this video, if they've had similar issues with increased anxiety with subsequent pregnancies, things that you did to cope, and ways to help surrender to those feelings. And in my previous video I mentioned that I had done a workshop that focused on releasing fears, and I think that's going to be a big part of my next few weeks. And just doing lots of self-care again. So making sure that I am keeping up with my exercise, my yoga, keeping up with those pedicures because those are really important, and focusing on birth affirmations. What I am not doing though is reading birth stories. So Whereas last pregnancy, I found them really empowering and helped me hope for the best. This time, I just find that if anything doesn't go absolutely perfectly in a birth story, it kind of bums me out and gives me one more thing to focus on. So really, I'm avoiding good birth stories. I've seen enough, I know enough about other people's outcomes that I don't think it's going to benefit me. Really, I have to kind of be a little bit more selfish and selective about what I'm reading, and that's part of it. So yeah, I would really love any suggestions people have. See you later.